Hey, everybody. We have exciting news. We are finalists for the Charleston City Paper Best of Charleston 2025. So now we really need all of you to please go vote for us as the best local podcast in the culture, arts, and entertainment category. Type vote.charlestoncitypaper.com into your internet browser and take it from there. Thanks so much. And here's the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Shrimp City Report. My name's Devin, joined today with the co-host, DJ. How are you doing this week?
Doing pretty good. Having some troubleshooting issues, but we were able to get through that for our recording today.
Of course. If I had a nickel for every time I've heard a podcast having troubleshooting issues, I would be living on Folly Beach right now. So,
right, yeah.
Anyway, we're joined by a friend and an associate of soccer fun, Mikey from the Charleston Battery supporters group, the Regiment. Hey, Mike, what's going on?
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Great.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and kick off with, tell us a little bit about yourself, some of your history, where you're from, how you pronounce that crazy last name to start with.
Gotcha. So, all right. Well, yeah, my last name is pronounced Buytas, like a buy butter and a tassel. It's actually Hungarian, and the Hungarian pronunciation's a little bit more, it's pronounced Bujtas. So, but to avoid all those crazy conversations that come up, it's just been Buytas since my grandpa joined the military back in World War II. So kind of stuck over the years.
Okay. Do you ever run into any Hungarians that go, you're not being true to your culture or your race or whatever?
No. Well, for one, there aren't a whole lot of Hungarians running around to start with, but especially down here in the South, most of them are up further north. Now, Trooper Bob with Live 5 News, he's Hungarian guy, and I look at his stuff and more food and traffic updates and stuff. But But yeah, my grandpa he owned a restaurant up in Indianapolis, and although he cooked mostly American in his restaurant, he would cook a lot of Hungarian stuff. And so as a kid, we'd visit him, and then, a lot of chicken paprikash and it's like that, So, but yeah. So that's the pronunciation of the last name.
Yeah, DJ, we ought to have Mike over sometime to cook up some of that food.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us about how you got into watching or soccer. Did you ever play any when you were younger? What kind of drew you in? Was that like an early lifestyle thing?
Yeah, actually, I started playing soccer at like a young age. I was probably like, 5 or 6 or something like that. Really enjoyed playing soccer. My parents were divorced. My dad was in the military, and he was living in Tampa, Florida in the 70s. And I remember when I'd go down to visit him, as a kid, I was like 10 or something like that. Well, probably even a little younger than that. He took me to see some of the old NASL team in Tampa Bay Rowdies. So that was my first live, like, professional soccer experience. Always kind of kept up with soccer over the years. It was a lot different back then, pre-internet, and there was like a Saturday morning roundup show or a Sunday morning roundup show type thing. And then while I was in high school, I played for a little bit. I stopped playing high school when I was like a junior because other things took more interest to me. And then, so after that, I joined the military out of high school. I wanted to see the world, get around and see stuff. One of the big things was I wanted to go to Europe and go to a soccer game. So in a roundabout way, the military was, that was one way I could get to Europe pretty easily. So got pretty lucky. Spent a couple years in Germany, spent a couple years, like 5 years in England. And, while I was there, just going to matches. This is back in the 90s and stuff. So I had a lot of, German friends and English friends that we'd go to matches together and stuff like that. So when I came back to the States, it was like 97 and MLS had just kind of started back up. And my brother, actually, who I went to high school in Columbia, South Carolina. So he was local and he was going to try out for a team called Charleston Battery back in the 90s. He was a goalkeeper. He played some in high school, nothing, no further than that, but he didn't make the team, but that's what kind of highlighted the Battery to me. And I was like, well, they're kind of a local team. Even though I was living in California at the time, I still claimed South Carolina as like my roots and stuff. So yeah, so that's how I started with the Battery. And then I got lucky to get a assignment here in Charleston in 2001 and started coming to games. But I was kind of following them online, like 98, 99s when I first started following them online. So that's how I got to where I am today.
So how long has that Battery been around for then?
Yeah, so the Battery's first season was in 1993. So they started us back in 93. They were playing down at Stony Field, which is it's a high school stadium there, close to where the Citadel and the River Dogs play. But
that's by Burke High School
Burke,
and
thank
all
you.
that.
Yeah, Burke
Yeah,
High School.
yeah. I used to play Little League football there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was known as Stony Field. It lived up to its name from what I understand, but the Battery in 99 built a stadium out at Daniel Island, and I was pretty fortunate. I knew I was coming to the area, but I had to go through a pretty long training program before I came here with the military. And it wasn't 100% sure I was coming here. So, but when I came to visit, I was visiting my my family up in Charleston, Columbia. I came down to Charleston for the day to kind of check out the sites and stuff, and I wanted to see the new stadium. So I came to the stadium in 99 and then went through training and then ended up here in the summer of 2001. So I've been here since then, following the Battery like almost every game since 2001.
So the Daniel Island Stadium, that was pretty shiny and brand new when you got to go check that out. So that must have been pretty exciting,
Yeah,
taking the wrapper off.
During that time in the U.S., there weren't many soccer-specific stadiums. The Battery was the first one to build the first privately built soccer-specific stadium in the country. So, and then shortly after, a couple weeks after, the Columbus Crew had opened their stadium, and it was nice. The field was great. The facilities were great. They had a pub in the stadium that was just, unworldly. I know I had friends from England come visit and stuff like that, and they'd go up there and they were just in awe, of the memorabilia and all the stuff that was in that pub. And you could sit and talk to the players and things like that. It was really special. I think a lot of people took it for granted. And then, when things happened and the stadium, the land was sold and stuff like that, it's hard to recreate that. But I think a lot of people, kind of like, oh man, this was really special. So,
well, now it's in with a new generation in the location at Patriots Point. That's right.
Yeah.
So growing up in Charleston, we had not a lot of soccer going on. Even there was only a few high schools that even played it. With the advent of the Battery coming in, it kind of didn't seem like it was going to stick. I guess even soccer in the South, period. I'm kind of interested in what y'all think is dug its claws in. Was it like extreme effort up front, or is it just became maybe a cultural thing with the Battery?
So yeah, I think it's a couple things. Initially, the first owner, Tony Backer, he was the owner until the late 2016, maybe 2017. So for over, 20 years, he owned the Battery, and it was more of a passion project for him. I mean, he's an English gentleman. He founded Blackbaud software company. He, and as the sport grew, the money it took to run it increased, to be a competitive team in the league, and he was very good about that. So and like most things, it's like at a certain point you gotta figure out, does it make sense financially for him to have such an expensive hobby, really, because he wasn't making any money off the bat, running the Battery or anything. And then another owner stepped in for a couple years, and I won't go into that too much, but there was a few hiccups. Some people were disillusioned and things like that. So really thought that the Battery was going to cease to exist for a little bit. And then right before COVID, he sold the team to the new owner, current owner, Rob Salvatore, who has really been great. He was put in a tough situation because the previous owner kind of diversified. He split the team and the stadium into two different entities. He sold the property without really having a plan to where we're going to play, have a team. So Rob bought the team. It didn't come with the stadium or any of that shiny stuff, but
oh wow,
got pretty lucky to partner up with the College of Charleston, and they've been, from what I understand, very, very good partners there, and letting the Battery kind of like makes the necessary upgrades to stay in the league and stuff, because there are certain, league requirements as far as stadiums and things like that go. So, but yeah, Rob's been great. He's very passionate about it. Him and his family come from, they're big sports fans and stuff. So it was really great to have Rob come in and kind of, I don't want, kind of save the battery more or less. And it's taken a couple years, but I think people are starting to come back that were disillusioned, and more towards your point, being around 30 years or so, there's a lot of second and third generation coming out. Like a lot of people like, oh, I went to the Battery when I was a kid, and now I got more, disposable income. I'm an adult. I can drive myself out there, and they come out and hopefully they have a good time and they come back, and, it's just it's a big community, There's a lot of people I know that I've known there since 2000, 20 some years that would be going out there and watching the games, and so there's a lot of legacy and a lot of history there.
Do you see like a lot of steady new faces, or is it one of those things where it's like when it rains it pours, where you get a lot of people coming out that you haven't seen before?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll touch on it more later, but we've been doing tailgates for probably since the mid 2000s, like 2006 or something. 2005, we started doing tailgates on the regular, and we're always open. Anybody can come, that kind of stuff. We try not to like make it difficult for somebody to show up and eat, but I've seen a lot of new faces coming and, coming out to the tailgates and even just in the stands, and especially families with kids that are playing the game, so they'll come out, and I see a lot of that. And one reason or other, it's just like, hey, we're new to the area, we love soccer, thought we'd give Battery a chance, or they've been around for a while and just never came out before, something like that. But yeah, there's still a core group of people that come out all the time. But then we've got that group of people that's definitely newbies coming out.
Yeah, and I got to say, I was really impressed. We went to the last game of last season.
Yeah.
How friendly you were to the competition. I mean, it was the final game of the season.
Yeah.
And y'all were out like swapping beers and, swapping each other's local city beers, and then like, hey, come get some barbecue, whatever. I mean, if that was a USC Clemson game, there would be a lot of cursing and a lot of fighting.
It's different. I mean, I lived in England for 5 years. I've been involved in those very heated rivalry type situations and stuff like that. So, but when I came to the States, there's just not enough soccer fans to divide. You know what I mean? It's not like there's, and I'd rather sit down and talk to a guy, even if they're, because they're a soccer fan. I'm like, oh my God, you're a soccer fan, and let's talk about soccer, as opposed to, oh, you're from Rhode Island, so I got to hate you. I mean, I don't, it's like whatever. Yeah. But yeah, we've kind of like, that's kind of been a thing across the USL specifically, is most supporter groups are pretty open to the other supporter groups. Come over, have a beer or two before the game. We'll hate you for 90 minutes during the game, and then after the game, come have a beer and either, drink the beer in celebration or commiseration. So, yeah. So, and I kind of like it that way. I mean, I've met a lot of people throughout the years that are not Charleston Battery fans that I still keep in touch with, and they're DC United, or I know, guys from like Tampa, a lot of the Tampa guys, we're on really good terms with, and as long as people come up and respect us, they'll have an invitation back to the tailgate. But, if they come up and they cause a problem, they're not welcome at the tailgate after that. So
right.
I'm not going to go chase them down with, broken bottles or
bear spray or something
like that. But, so.
Okay. The Regiment is a supporters group, and to layman, that might be considered a fan club, or the hardcore crew of folks that like something. So is it common with, I guess, at least pro soccer team to have some kind of supporters group to take pride in your team and name yourselves like you did? Where'd the Regiment come from? What's that name about?
So obviously when the Battery moved to Daniel Island and got the new stadium, couple of guys were like, hey, we should have a supporters group. Some of the other teams were doing it, and there was already people out there doing whatever, but it just got more organized. So the Regiment kind of came, a lot of the military history to the Charleston area, and you got the Battery, and so that deals more with the artillery type thing than a car battery. But, the regiment kind of was something easy and, it stuck. And then I got involved in 2001 when I came on board and been involved ever since. So.
Oh, so you hit the ground running with it.
Yeah, I was there pretty early. There's still a couple of the original guys are still
Yeah.
involved with the regiment, obviously, but some of them are, you got to think this is going on close to 30 years of this supporters group. So it's seen a lot of different faces and changes over
Of
the
course.
years. And we're all getting older, so it's getting a little harder to be as I think we all mellow out when we get a little older, and it's like, okay, well, other things start coming up. So.
Yeah, put it in cruise control, wait for the next generation to take it over.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the battery name, I assume, is, of course, if folks that aren't from the Low Country, Charleston has many fortifications going back 300 years, and several of those do have artillery batteries from the various forts, and we also have a part of the peninsula that is called the Battery. That's just an FYI for everyone out. Okay, so supporters groups. Besides that, how's your relationship with the Battery Incorporated as far as the regiment with the Battery?
So we run independently, but they are very supportive. So, throughout the years, we've needed something. They, like when they were developing Daniel Island, the Patriot Point, after Daniel Island, they asked us what we would like as like a supporter section. And initially they had bleachers behind the goal, and we're like, well, we would really like to have a standing supporter section.
Right.
With a beer rail and that kind of stuff. And they took that and they made it happen. And, some of the other stuff was like a place to hang our flags, because sometimes, the batteries, like any other thing, they're looking for sponsorships and stuff, and they put up advertisements for their sponsors and things. And in the old stadium, we would have to hang our banners over the top of an advertisement, and wasn't really, appreciated for whoever was spending money to put that advertisement there. They wanted their advertisement seen, not the banner I put over the top, right? But so the Battery actually gave us a couple blank spots where we would just put our banners, and then with the new stadium, it's like, you'll notice there's no advertisement back behind the goal. It's just banners for the most part. They may have some Charleston Battery stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, so the Battery has a good relationship with the supporters groups, particularly the regiment. Y'all been there for 20-something years. It's a win-win for both of you, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, they've been really supportive over the years. We do run independent. We try to keep that bit of independency there, so there's no conflict of interest. If it was hard there for a couple years when things weren't going our way and we weren't happy with ownership and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been really good. For the most part, they help us out with, if we're doing some sort of charity or fundraiser, they'll post about it in their game match day program and stuff. And, they're typically, when we do meet and greets and stuff, they'll be like, oh yeah, there's the regiment over there. If you were interested in that, go over there, talk to them. So yeah, it's been good over the years.
So you guys do charity work as well. I know that you have events every now and again. Do you want to talk about some of the charity stuff you've done in the past and some of the events you also do?
Yeah, so well, throughout the year, we typically choose 2 or 3 different things we want to support throughout the year. One of the ones we typically do is Teacher's Closet, which is an organization that people can donate school supplies and teachers can go in there and get them for free, kind of thing. So we usually do a big drive at the, right before school starts for that. We typically do collections for Low Country Food Bank at least once a year. Usually we do it during the season, and then again right before the holidays at the Christmas party or something. And then, we'll pick a couple other charities every now and then. I think this year we haven't nailed them all down just yet, but we are planning on doing 4 different fundraisers throughout the year, whether they're food drives or things like that. And then as far as events, we'll do a holiday party each year.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll do a couple, every now and then we'll do like a a happy hour at a local brewery or something like that. We've done things like in conjunction with some bands and stuff like that in the past. We've done a few other things, road trips. We try to, organize road trips a couple times a year. We used to rent a bus and go up to like Charlotte or go to Atlanta. Both those teams have kind of changed over the years, but and buses have become very expensive to rent. So it's a little cost prohibitive, but we are planning a trip to North Carolina for the away game up there, and I think it's March 28th or 29th. I can't remember the exact date, but we'll just rent a 15-pack van or two and take a few people up, and other people will drive up on their own and stay the night because they don't feel like driving in a van with 10, 12 other guys or something, so.
Yeah. So this all seems, I'm counting the money in my mind. How is the group funded?
So we do memberships. Memberships is our primary fundraiser throughout the year. So we have a couple different levels of membership. The premium level's $40. It comes with a t-shirt and a scarf. And then the standard one is $25, and I think it's either a scarf or a t-shirt. So we will do a couple. The Battery has in the past given us like a jersey to raffle off at a game. So we'll do like a raffle at the game, and then so most of that's how we end up funding some of the stuff. Most of that goes toward flags and banners that we create and smoke that we purchase. We typically, if the Battery scores a goal, we'll let off a smoke bomb, behind the goal there. Helps for the tailgate that we, provide for tailgates and stuff. But a lot of it, that kind of stuff is just like, hey, I'm making chicken this week for the tailgate, or I'm doing, whatever. People bring food out, and, nobody's really looking for, compensation except for a couple times a year. We'll get somebody, comes out and they'll make like, a big batch of pulled pork, or we'll do a low country boil or something like that and have that. But and most of the other events that we do kind of like offset themselves. So, we're going to Charlotte, or we'll go to Raleigh for the game up in North Carolina in March. It'll be basically, hey, the bus costs us, or the van's going to cost like $250. And if we put 10 people, everybody pays like $25. And then that's the trip up. So, and I'll be the driver. So I'm going anyhow, so whether I drive the van or my car, I'm still paying for gas. So, that's the way I look at it. So.
That's a good deal. I mean, $25 to get up there, and you're with your friends. It's fun, singing those old soccer songs on the way up. And
yeah, sit there and chat a little bit, and it'd be a long ride home if it's not a successful game, but
How's the leadership with the regiment? Do y'all have like elected officials?
Yeah, we have a board. We elect a new board each fall, or at the end of the season, so going into 2025, we have a new board. Basically, it's made up of a president, which I'm been the president for a couple years now.
Okay.
Like a decade or so, but and then we have a vice president, we have a treasurer and a secretary. We also have a membership person that kind of organizes all the membership stuff, and we'll get that keep track of who's got memberships and hand them out, that kind of stuff. We have our community outreach, which is our charity type stuff. So they kind of organize the charity side of, doing those things. Yeah. So we've been pretty organized the same way for years. And, we get people come on as board members at large, basically to kind of entice them to come in and do some more work and let one of us take a back seat for a little while. But nobody's wanted to bite off the presidency role yet, but I've kind of got it down now. So it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I think that is just an indication of what a fantastic job you're doing. Nobody wants to usurp you for that role.
Hey, if anybody's out there wanting the job, I'd be happy to let them even do a side-by-side for a little while to see if it's what they want. So,
does the president have to be also the grill master at the tailgate?
No, that's something I enjoy doing outside. I would still do tailgating even if I wasn't the president. It's just kind of been doing it for years, and it feel weird not doing it at this point, so.
Yeah, DJ like the tri-tips out there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I got to say, y'all do get a little bit of local support too, right? With the Edmonds Oast providing some beers every now and then.
Hopefully we can continue that this year. somebody else is looking into that, talking to them about it. But yeah, they were really super supportive last year of not only just like, on game day, they donate a bunch of beer, but on away games, it was like the unofficial viewing place. They just decided they were going to start doing it. And they said, "Hey, we'd love you guys to come in." And what really kind of sold me on them was it was an early season. It was March. And we were at Edmonds Oaks on a Saturday night when March Madness was going on, and it was like the Final Four or something like that. And they basically turned the sound off at the Final Four, put it on one little TV in the corner, and put the battery on all the rest of the screens, and had the volume pumping on that. And I tell you what, I've been around a long time. There's a lot of places that, like, "Hey, we want you to come watch a Battery. We want this to be the Battery away place." And I'm like, well, are you going to put the sound on a Saturday night? And, a lot of places don't want to do that. And I get it. It's, you get 20, 30 soccer guys in there and it's a Saturday night. It's, versus the big game or something like that. It's a hard competition around here for that kind of stuff. So, but they were really great. And I'd love to, I'm a big proponent of supporting local. And if local supports you, I'm going to support you back kind of thing. So.
Oh, heck yeah. They do a good job, just period. And yeah, I've heard, we haven't gone yet to see any of the away games at the Oast, but I mean, we were talking to Tanner Clay and he said everybody, supporters show up, people from the front office show up. It's like the place to go. And I'm like, that's some hell of a camaraderie.
Yeah. Rob's been quite a few of the games and he's brought in some of his bigwig friends. I say bigwig friends. Rob's in a different tax bracket than most of us, so when he comes down to hang out with us, it's cool. And every now and then there'll be a player that comes down there that's injured or something, and it's not uncommon to see some of the players' girlfriends or wives to come out there and hang out and watch the games, and then you get just random people that are in town. And I remember there was a family from Spain and they came in to have dinner there and they ended up staying for soccer, Charleston Battery game. And, I'd like to think they're over in Spain watching Nick Marcanic, who just transferred from the Battery last year over to Spain this year. So I don't know, following the Battery over there in Europe somewhere.
I would think that would probably be a plus. The Battery's cool. The logo's cool. It's from Charleston, South Carolina. They're over in Europe. You probably get a lot of folks asking about that kit or that T-shirt if you're wearing it in Valencia, So that's a good way to spread the word. So the Battery's on like ESPN in some format. So there's actually, you can watch it outside of the region, right?
Well, in the States, it's on ESPN Plus, but overseas, USL runs a US YouTube channel. It's blocked out here in the States, but you can watch it for free over there, rewatch the games on YouTube. So I'm not sure what this year is going to bring. Obviously, if there's a big game that's on terrestrial ESPN, like, the final was on ESPN2 and that kind of stuff, but those games aren't on ESPN Plus. The way they make money on all that kind of stuff, they probably limit how they can broadcast it. But yeah, they've been, USL and the league the Battery's in is pretty good about making it as accessible as possible around the world.
Yeah, it's pro, it's real deal. Somebody the other day asked me about the Battery, and they're like, "What's up with that semi-pro soccer team?" And I'm like, "No, it's real deal pro. This is the shit. This isn't just some ragtag run of the mill thing." Going to the event. So listen, we really never went, honestly, until this year, even though we both are fans of soccer. The first thing that I noticed, and DJ, you can kick in as well, was it's like a festival. It's kind of an electric feeling there, especially with the parking lot scene. Don't you agree, DJ?
Yeah. I would be lying if I said I wasn't impressed by the kiddie pool filled with beer and ice when I entered. That's always a flashy thing to throw out there, especially when you're when you are still new to tailgating. But no, even like minutes before the game, the supporter entrances and everything is absolutely wild. Between you and the other supporter group, the Barra.
The Barra, yeah.
The two of y'all just go nuts in the best way possible, And it very much does feel like a festival almost every game.
So the tailgates were super important to me, mostly because, again, I talked about it, there's not a lot of soccer fans around. And it can be kind of intimidating if you're just in the supporters group, behind the goal, and there's just, a bunch of guys screaming and obscenities at the ref or something like that. Probably not the best sort of presentation for who the people really are. But that's why I figured, when we were starting off, I was like, the tailgates help foster that soccer community. We want people to come by. We want to talk to you. You get to know us a little bit. So that way, when you go up to the supporters section, it's not as clicky, there's not, it's not like, oh, I don't know anybody here or whatever. It's like, oh, I kind of know that guy over there. I've seen him out there in the parking lot or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of where the whole emphasis behind the tailgates, yeah, it's great to have some good food and beer out there, but it also helps, foster that community within the soccer world. But the Barras really kind of upped it in the last year with the drums and the Spanish chants and stuff. So, it's brought a lot of that, that Latin vibe in. That's been great, unless you don't like hearing drums the entire game, which there are people that are like that, but the stadium's big. There's other places to go, and they've been really good about letting us do our thing, as long as we're not being overly abusive or throwing things on the field and stuff like that. So I get it. It's good. So.
Well, the supporters section is rowdy. I mean, that's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
I have never noticed anything that I would consider, intrusive or
over the line
or off color or anything like that. It's rowdy. It's nuts when a goal is scored and you guys start setting the smoke off. Especially
might be a beer or two flying around,
perhaps,
and you might get hit by a flagpole or something. But yeah, it's reciprocative. Like, we know the players enjoy it. We know the players feed off of it. And when the players feed off of it and they start, you can see that they're performing really well. And they come around. They turn around and they'll do one of those fist pump type things toward the crowd, and it's just like everybody's like, yeah, you're talking to me personally, or whatever. But yeah, it can get you riled up, and like I said, you get to know the players, and the other beauty about being a smaller professional club is, yeah, they're professional. They're getting paid. Some of them getting paid decent money to play, but they're not inaccessible like at other places, like other professional leagues where you just see this guy, he's just a little tiny speck on the court or whatever. But when you get to talk to them after the games, they come by the supporter section, they thank us, they shake our hands, they chat with us for a little bit. You see them out in the community and they recognize you and they come up and start talking to you and stuff like that. It's cool. And you want to support each other. So they play well, we sing well. If they're not playing well, we try to sing louder and be louder. So it kind of motivates them. And yeah, I've had numerous players reach out and say, yeah, appreciate the atmosphere last night. Love what you guys are doing. Keep doing it. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. I guess a couple of things I want to touch upon as far as logistics and all that stuff. So you tailgate in, what is the parking lot that y'all are in?
It's the blue lot. It's the grass lot right in front of the stadium.
Okay.
It's open to anybody. You don't have to park there. You can park somewhere else and walk. Lots of people park, along the road and then just wander over. Typically, we do have like a tip jar if you feel inclined. A lot of people want to bring something. I don't, it's not discouraged, but don't feel like you have to bring anything. It's just like show up, have a good time, have a hot dog or some tri-tip, depending on what we got cooking that day, and a couple beers, and just enjoy, a little bit of time before you head into the game. And then hopefully, a couple beers will loosen you up or something, and you'll get a little louder in the game and a little more vocal. So.
Yeah, and meet some new friends. I guess if anybody that's listening ever comes to a game and they do pop into the tailgate, if they could probably ask anybody around there about possibly being a member or joining, or at least catching you guys at the grill.
Most certainly, yeah. We should have like a QR code set up by then at the tailgates where you can just kind of come in and scan and put your info in. Plan is just to have some of that stuff available every tailgate.
Okay.
So if you come and you want a scarf, we'll have a scarf. It'll be a package ready to go. And we just get your information. And then, it does give you a 10% discount at the pro shop. We're always looking for more things to add as a benefit of being a member. Besides just supporting the Battery. That's great. Everybody's going there to support the Battery, hopefully. And But, the regiment, we try to take it a little bit further. It helps offset the cost of the smoke and the banners and the flags and, those kind of things and just keep things running the way they are,
Yeah. Okay, excellent. So we've covered membership. We've covered some of the events that you have coming. How can folks get in touch with the regiment?
Yeah, so we're on Facebook. We have a group called the Regiment. That's the most active one. We're also on X, Twitter, X, whatever. We're on Instagram. We're on Blue Sky and under the Regiment. Might be Regiment 843 or Regiment 2 or something like that because there's lots of other ones out there, obviously. But you should be able to find us if you follow any of the battery stuff. We'll probably somebody out there follows the Regiment as well. The regiment843.com is our website. There's not a whole lot there, but it is there. We have an app on Chant. If you come by the tailgate, we can get you hooked up with the app. So you're like on the Chant app, and there's a lot of little things on there like the schedule, and we try to post some, weekly competitions, and if you win, who guess the score correctly wins a scarf or something like that, and then but yeah, and then obviously the best way is just come out to a game, come by the tailgate, and you can find most of us behind the goal, but we have regiment members that are all throughout the stadium, so there's lots, like I said, some of us are getting older and they prefer that cushioned seat, the center of the field versus standing behind the goal getting beer showers and things like that. But yeah, just come by and ask for Mikey. Everybody out there knows me, so
right on.
They'll point you if I'm there. If I'm there, hopefully I'm there. I got a couple trips planned this year that might conflict with games, but
well,
I'm going to do my best to be to everyone I can. So
after 10 years of steering the ship, then I suppose that you can take a day or two off. Hey, one other thing. March 1st is the Clemson exhibition. We will definitely be there. When is regular season starts the next week, doesn't it?
Yeah, it starts March 8th. We won't be doing a tailgate or anything for the preseason game.
Yeah.
But we will be doing a tailgate for the March 8th game. Normally our tailgates, just FYI, they start about 3 hours before the game starts. So you might get there and help us set up if you get there too early, but definitely 2 hours before the game, we should have food and everything set up. So if you're opposed to a little work, don't come too early. But no, I'm joking. But yeah, so March 8th will be our first big tailgate. The preseason game against Clemson on the 1st is just going to be like everybody out there just kind of hanging out. Probably won't be a big deal. We're saving our energy for the games that really matter. So
well, that's cool. Hopefully there'll be a good crowd at the exhibition. We have several of our family friends that went to Clemson as well going, so we look forward to that.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So anyway.
Little rivalry there.
Yeah. All right, we're going to wrap it on up now. We appreciate Mikey coming on and telling us about the regiment. We do encourage folks to join. We did ourselves this year. The perks are nice, but really the community and the folks we've met are 10 times nicer than the stuff. And we look forward to this season. Once again, Mikey, thanks for coming by. DJ, have a nice week yourself, and we'll be back with another show next week. And we'll also keep everybody up to date on the batteries goings-ons because we're fans.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks.
All right.
Absolutely.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Good night.